Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, welcome to this special edition of Common Grounds, where a lot can happen over coffee. This is a special election edition, and we're really excited to host today. This platform has gained over 45,000 views to date, and today we're joined by our candidates running for elected office, both for mayor and city council. Welcome, candidates. We're thrilled to have you. My name is Jamie Henning. I'm the president and CEO of the Greeley Area Chamber of Commerce, proudly representing over 700 investor businesses in the Greeley area. Our main objective is to establish Greeley as the best place to do business. We're a strong, unified voice with regional reach, and a lot of that is because of our collaboration and consensus building. Our main goal is to help our investors succeed, and one of the most important ways we seek to do that is through advocacy. We know businesses matter, which is why we proactively monitor policies that could adversely affect them. We work closely with our elected leaders in the business community on important issues affecting them and try to be their voice. We're there with our businesses every step of the way to ensure the business voice is heard. Our businesses, we feel, make the quality of life better for thousands of Coloradoans. In our cities, region, and state, we're pioneering, we're rugged and independent, just like the industries ingrained in the Northern Colorado economy. At this time, I'd like to introduce the chair of our local government business affairs committee, what we refer to as leg back, who's putting on this forum today. And that is Lou Cartier from Ames College. So thank you so much for being with us, Lou. I'll give you a moment to give us some framing for this conversation today.
Thanks, Jamie, and welcome everybody. Hey, I love rugged. I hadn't heard that before. That's a great action adjective. My job is just to give a little context, ladies and gentlemen. And as Jamie suggested, the mission of the group we call Leg Back is to educate and inform and influence. And our goal is positive business environment. So our group is 15 to 20 people, men and women, broadly representative of the business community. We work closely with the executive and the board of directors of the chamber, and our task is to help them develop policies and procedures and positions, rather, that have a bearing on the organizations you seek to get involved in and to become a leader in. City of Greeley, County of Weld, Greeley-Evans School District, and Ames Community College. Please understand, I think everyone on this call probably knows that we neither endorse nor oppose a given candidate. We are nonpartisan to a fault, and you may hold us to account for that. Rather, it falls to us to review and assess local government issues and proposals that require a vote of the public. And we do that so that we might look at it and report back to the board and take their direction. So I have a tendency to overtalk, some of you know, so I just want to leave you with three quick little thoughts. Government is not a bad word. Governance is making things work for our community and our constituents. And this takes personal sacrifice, and we commend you for your selflessness. Secondly, good government is a cause that animates each of us, for it allows the private sector to flourish. It nourishes the economy and the quality of life in the communities we all serve. And lastly, as I tell my students, public service is a noble profession. Everyone on this call and those behind the scenes honors your generosity. We want you to succeed, and we look forward to helping you and the growing ranks of chamber investors who look to you for leadership. So thanks a lot. Good luck. Happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Lou. I appreciate your comments this morning. We want you to know at the chamber, we commend you on your decision to run and serve, and we look forward to partnering with you. So before we get started today, each candidate will be given 3 minutes to tell us who they are and why they're running in their own words. Mandy's serving as our timer, but please make sure to just watch your watches. We want to keep sure to be on time here to make sure we can run through all of our candidates. We're also going to go in alphabetical order and then reverse on some of these questions just to keep it as fair as possible. And as Lou said, the chamber prides itself on its nonpartisan collaborative spirit, and we know you'll join us in this discussion with the same approach and thoughtfulness. So thank you so much for being with us today. Let's get started first with our candidates running for mayor. So we're going to start with 3 minutes each of comments, and I'll go in alphabetical order. So Jim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, so hello, everybody. And Lou, thank you. Thank you for how you framed it and how you set it up. And I agree with all the points that you brought up. So my name is Jim Etheridge, and I'm on the ballot for mayor with John Gates is here. The other John isn't. So my wife is named Julie Etheridge, just to give you a background. So since I don't know, probably most of the people listening to this or will be listening, we've been married for 31 years. We met at Mesa State. I see a CSU behind Brett. I see a CU behind John. I am, yes, Mesa State. But the good news is all three of my sons graduated from UNC. And they also participated in Ames. So we very much love this community and the education of it. So, you know, I just have to start. I feel led, pushed, genuinely thankful for the process that I can even have my name on the ballot. And so really the thing that I'm going to provide and the thing that I believe that I have value in is I have a fresh set of eyes and ears. Really, I believe that we are going to be facing some unprecedented and new changes in the future that are unseen. And sometimes, just like in business, fresh eyes, new perspective, open ears brings a way of listening, a way of hearing. And so that's what I hope. I believe Greeley is a place of innovation. I absolutely know it is. It's got a spirit of creativity, which is represented in the art behind you. It's just who we are as a culture and as a community. And I just believe in the open minds of our community and the engagement of it. So what I'm prepared to do, I'm prepared to continue to just press for our community. And that's why I'm in this. So we're going to have 3 questions that you guys are going to ask, and we have seen them, so that's helpful. But you know, there's some other things that I just wanted for business leaders. Things that are on my heart that I think we all just have to keep top of mind, regardless. I just pray everyone votes who they vote for, let that happen. But the things around mental health and the safety of our community, I think that's an important dialogue down the road. Housing and the availability and affordability, that's going to be a challenge because I promise you, we need to prepare the investors in our business for the growth that's coming. I know that we are situated and set in a very safe place, and we are going to have growth. I believe the homelessness and really families that are affected by the shifts that we've all come through. You know, look at anyone that had to be in contact with people has had a major shift in how their work life and how their family life is working. And so that seems important. And then also, I believe infrastructure is going to be something that we're going to have to continue to be creative and make sure that we have the support around. And then finally, I just want this. That's a lot of words. This is what I care that you leave with. I absolutely love my family. And I absolutely am for God. And I absolutely am for this community. So I believe just open ears and an open heart is what I actually represent on this ballot. And I know everybody does. So I'm no different than anyone, but I'm at least a name on the ballot to consider. So that's what I have.
Jim, thank you so much for your comments. Next, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to our incumbent, Mayor John Gates, for 3 minutes of comments. Thank you for joining us, Mayor Gates.
Thank you, Jamie. Jim, it's good to hear you, and it was good to meet you the other day. Thank you to the Chamber and Lake Back for organizing this morning's forum. I am John Gates. I'm the mayor of Greeley, and I'm running for re-election. I've lived in Greeley my entire life. I'm married to my wife, Patty, and have 2 stepsons and 5 grandchildren. I retired as a sergeant from the Greeley Police Department in 2003 after 25 years. Left the police department to go to work for the school district. A capacity I still share is that I'm in my 19th year as Chief of Safety and Security for the district. I was elected to Greeley City Council in 2009, was re-elected in 2013. I served as Mayor Pro Tem for all 8 of those years. Made the tough decision to run for mayor and was elected Greeley's mayor in November 2017 and re-elected in 2019. I've served my community proactively on numerous boards and committees, most of which deal with quality of life and community safety. Some of these affiliations include the Juvenile Assessment Center Board of Directors, Suicide Education Support Services Board, the Island Grove Regional Treatment Center Board, the Greeley Independent Stampede Committee with 2 years as general chairman. I spent 10 years on the Greeley Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, the Greeley Weld Gang Initiative Task Force, United Way 211, serve on the Upstate Colorado Economic Development Board, spent a number of years on the 19th Judicial Performance Review Commission, on the Homeless Coalition Blue Ribbon Committee, which created a document still in use called Weld's Way Home, and was the 2016 chairman of Weld Project Connect. Our current city council has accomplished much in the last 4 years. As for my platform, I would like to delineate a few key points. Greeley is in the midst of unprecedented growth, and we've got to get it right. We must grow responsibly, specifically with regard to housing, infrastructure, and a diversity of options. We must work together to resolve a serious affordable housing shortage. While there's some affordable housing going on, there is some room for improvement. The lack of current inventory isn't providing a lot of incentive for developers to create affordable housing opportunities. And I want to continue to give our police and fire personnel the tools to keep our community safe. Community safety, in my mind, is non-negotiable. Navigating a pandemic was extremely difficult for all of us. I've never worked as hard in my life as I have as mayor the last 18, 20 months. I am extremely proud of Greeley's response to COVID-19, and I will continue to provide visionary leadership as we deal with critical issues in our community. I will continue to offer a reasoned voice to controversial issues. I have a vast amount of experience in municipal government. You may have noticed my tagline on a few signs I have out. It says experience matters. I believe that strongly. I thank my opponents very much for throwing their hats in the mayoral ring. I agree that our citizens need choices. I believe it's simply not the time for on-the-job training. Thank you to Lakeback and the Greeley Chamber of Commerce for sponsoring today's candidate forum. And I wish you all a pleasant day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm actually going to start with you first on the questions and go in reverse order this time. So I'm going to frame one word slightly different in here. Why did you decide to run again? And how has your background and experience prepared you to oversee the complexities of the city of Greeley? And you have 1 minute for your response. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Jimmy. My first foray into elected office was in 2009 when I was encouraged to run for city council. Subsequently served 2 4-year terms on the city council and have been Greeley's mayor for 4 years. As my opening indicated, I'm a lifelong resident of Greeley, have volunteered and served on many boards and commissions as a way to learn about all facets of our community and give back to the city I love. I've served as an elected representative of Greeley for 12 years and have a very thorough knowledge of the city of Greeley government. Finally, the Greeley City Council and I continue to lead our city through the COVID-19 pandemic. I think my knowledge, skills, and ability would delineate that I'm well suited to continue as Greeley's mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, I'm going to go ahead and restate the question back for you as well as the challenger. Why did you decide to run, and how has your background and experience prepared you to oversee the complexities of the city of Greeley?
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked. And, you know, I agree with John. It's not a time for on-the-job training. It's not. And I think that's valuable. And I also think experience matters. And all of us have a different portfolio. And I have a very unique journey. And so I worked for City Market. I worked for King Soopers. I worked for Dillon's. And then I got the good fortune of trying to negotiate with Kroger. So I was at Kroger Corporate and got to work to bring all the divisions together. I got to work at JBS here in Greeley. That's what brought me to Greeley in 2003. I was over innovation and development there at the office and worked with the Greeley plant. I understand the challenges of that workforce. I worked at the National Cattlemen's Beef Association for a decade, leading innovation within that industry. Governance, committee meetings, exact same structure as what we have here. I have a decade of experience and fresh eyes to do it. I met with cattlemen from across our nation about the things that affect agriculture, governance, how simple rules can shift families, lose ranches or gain ranches. And that's the thing about the pandemic. Some have thrived, some haven't. But ultimately, we all have to agree we've at least been in the rainstorm. And how do we come together and find this thing out? it's a different perspective. I got my Colorado insurance license. I've let that expire. And I now have, of all things, a national massage license focused on neuromuscular therapy. And it's licensed here in Colorado. And here in the center of our city, I work, my wife and I have Jim and Julie's Place. It's a therapy and art center where we help people with their physical needs. And we just have a compassion. And so ultimately, I just believe that this is a time of fresh eyes, a time of leadership, a time to give choices. And I want to tell John, you've done a great job. And I know when you ran and you got the job, you didn't see what was coming. And I think we're still in that boat. Neither one of us, as we sit here, whether it's you, John, or me, or whoever it is, it'll be a challenge. And so I just wanted to say, I come with a unique set of business experience. And for the chamber, I have a business in this city. So that's kind of my answer to that.
Jim, this time we're going to start with you first. How do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses can grow and thrive?
You know, I just have a simple answer to this. It's focus on guidance towards, and I wrote it out, innovation and creation and growth of local businesses. And I really believe that there's an ecosystem. There's a network. There's a system that has to be in place, and it has to be united in vision and growth and longevity. And I ran through the action items of the long range plan of the city, and each deal, there are wonderful things the city's already put in place. I just think sometimes it's time to go from words to action. And then when you're in action, go back to words to make sure you're going the right way. And so my vision is to continue to support the ecosystem that's already in place.
Mayor Gates, I'm going to go ahead and give you the same question and I'll restate it quickly. How do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses can grow and thrive?
Thank you. Business entities, especially small business, are the lifeblood of any community. We certainly saw that during the pandemic when some closed down, some of them have reopened, some have not. Those that have not creates a significant void in our community. I have a proven track record of being business friendly. When the pandemic first rolled into our community some 18 months ago, I drove an initiative that was unanimously supported by the Greeley City Council to collaborate with the Greeley Chamber of Commerce and the City of Evans to set up a large funding tool to provide grants to local businesses that did not have to be paid back to assist them financially with many adverse ramifications of the pandemic. Many have told us that without that funding, they would not have been able to survive. The city contributed $250,000 to this venture. While we knew our city budget would take a hit in that regard, we felt absolutely compelled to do our best to help the business community. We would do that again if we had to. Hopefully we won't, but we felt strongly that our businesses needed that support from the city and the chamber and the City of Evans.
Thank you, Mayor, and we definitely appreciate that. Final question is going to go to you, and then Jim, back to you before we head into our City Council conversation today. Water is a crucial resource for growth. What solutions can you identify to shrinking water availability for citizens and businesses alike, and how will you use your voice in this conversation?
Really hard to answer in a minute, but I'm going to start. For Greeley, securing reliable water and storage for drought is critical to economic growth and prosperity. Water in our region is limited. As a growing city, we must plan into the future and make smart investments in water today. And by smart, I mean we must grow our water supplies while keeping water rates affordable and while preserving our agricultural economy and heritage. As many know, Greeley has been blessed with a rich tradition of thoughtful water planning that has positioned the city well into the future. Water's been a priority for me during my time as mayor and a city council member. I sit on the Water and Sewer Board as a non-voting member. Over the past 10 years, we have 20 million gallons per day of treatment capacity at our Bellevue Water Treatment Plant, made major water quality investments at the Boyd Lake Water Treatment Plant, and kicked off a $34 million construction project at the wastewater treatment facility on East State Street, where we will be upgrading to meet changing regulations and adding 10% capacity to our system.
Thank you. That is a tough question to answer in a minute. So sorry to cram in your answer there. Jim, I'll go ahead and ask the same question back your direction. Water is a crucial resource for growth. What solutions can you identify to shrinking water availability for citizens and businesses alike, and how will you use your voice?
Yeah, I think the most important thing, at least for the mayor and the city council, is in regards to selecting the right people and making sure that we're listening to that. And so probably my answer is supporting the staff that's on the water board that have that voting interest, and just making sure we have the most innovative and long range thinking. Because as a business, I mean, I use water, and that is a big deal. As a resident, it's a big deal. And so we just need creative thinking, because I think this is not a single point in time. This is for our generation, and the decisions we make today will change the way businesses run and way the infrastructure is built. So very thoughtful water board people is my answer to that question. Thank you.
Thank you for your answer, Jim. So I want to thank both of our mayoral candidates today for their thoughtful responses to our questions around our business community. We'll ask that you stay on for our city council segment as well, but really appreciate you participating in our candidate forum today. We're going to go ahead and move along for our city council candidate forum. So thank you for all being on. I hope we haven't lost anyone here in the last couple of minutes. I'm going to actually introduce our city council candidates. I'm going to go through an alphabetical order once we address your 3 minutes, but to keep you in groups as you're running for different offices, I'm going to mention it that way. So for our city council candidates at large, we have LaVonna Longwell, Brett Payton, and Paul Wood. For our city council candidates, Ward 2, we have Deb DeBooty, Louisa Anderson, and I'm not sure if Sean joined us, so I'll work my way through that here in a moment. But we want to thank you so much for all being on today. And I'm going to work through 3 minutes of comments, and I'll do that actually alphabetically. And I think Mandy just texted me that I've got all of you on here. So thank you so much for joining us. It looks like we have a pretty full slate. The only candidate who was unable to join us today was Johnny Olson. So I want to thank you all again for running. And I'm going to go ahead and start in alphabetical orders. Each of you will get 3 minutes to just make comments in your own words. And then again, we'll answer questions after that. So I'm going to go ahead and start today with Louisa.
Good morning. Thank you for hosting this bright and early coffee with the Chamber of Commerce. My name is Louisa Anderson, and I'm stepping forward to run for City Council Ward 2 because I have a heart for Greeley, and I want to see positive actions for all our residents. I am a driven leader, and I'm eager to push for the prosperity of Greeley's Ward 2, which encompasses the southeastern quadrant of the city. I've been a resident of Ward 2 for over 50 years, lived here in Greeley almost all my life. I have a unique historical perspective on the surrounding communities and how they operate. I know all my neighbors and the community members come from diverse backgrounds, and I know the challenging issues facing Ward 2. I believe the key for making Ward 2 a thriving area in Greeley in Colorado comes from collaborating with the residents and the businesses that have made an investment in our community. I also believe that Ward 2 on the southeast side deserves a little bit of the investment that some of the other areas of Greeley receive. While the growth has mostly focused out west, I believe there's an awful lot of opportunity to improve some of the blighted areas of Ward 2 by encouraging businesses to choose that section of town and to encourage residents to know that they have the support of the city as they improve and innovate on their own properties. My professional background includes serving on the Greeley's Planning Commission for the last 5 years. And as a planning commissioner, I have been involved in the influencing the revamping of the city municipal code, which contains the regulations that are the guidelines that either encourage or discourage different kinds of business and development. My investment in forming that code with the Planning Commission encouraged me to step up to run for City Council to see that through and to make sure that the little details are still included after that. I am also an educator in Greeley, so I've got, I interact with young people on a daily basis. I'm also interested in making sure that the existing infrastructure and maintenance of the public facilities that we have, especially in Ward 2, are considered and put forth. It's not always about growth. It's usually about keeping monies going to the things that we've already invested in, so we don't lose those to neglect. And finally, the common sense growth and the collaboration that the City Council can offer to maintain our water sources is imperative, and I look forward to working on that challenge as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Louisa, for your comments today. Next, we're going to go to Deb DeVuti. Deb, I'll turn it over to you. And I think we've got you on mute, so I'll just mention that.
Thank you.
Perfect. There you go.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank
You
you to the Chamber for hosting this event. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm Deb DeVuti. I've been a resident of Ward 2 for 27 years. I came here to finish my college degree at UNC and finished, decided to settle here. I raised my children here. I married a man that grew up in Greeley, and I talked my folks into moving here so they could grow old in our community. When I finished my degree, I worked and volunteered at all kinds of nonprofits in town, the Greeley Transitional House, the World Food Bank. I was on the Greeley Urban Renewal Authority Board, but I finally took a job in Denver as a registered lobbyist for the Colorado Coalition for the Homeless. I worked there for 9 years, advocating at the state capitol for affordable housing, access to health care, access to social services, and livable wages. After 9 years of commuting to Denver, I had it. The commute was too long, becoming too much, and I was lucky enough to get hired by the city of Greeley in the Community Development Department, where I have spent the last 13 years working as a neighborhood program specialist. And I worked directly with residents who wanted to improve their neighborhood, and with the business community, area nonprofits. I was the city's community organizer. I managed the community mediation program, the neighbor labor program, the farmers market. I have a lot of experience in local government. I know how it can work better for the residents of this community. I'm a professional listener. I'm a collaborative problem solver, and I, like Louisa, am very concerned about equitable attention in Southeast Greeley. I am concerned about the explosive growth going out west. I think we need to preserve more green space and have smart growth. Relieve the traffic congestions. I think we need a lot more investment and attention in Southeast Greeley. I think we need to provide more access to open space in our great park system while thinking about other fun things to do for families in the community. I think there are some neighborhoods that we need to work very hard to stabilize and improve safety. And finally, I think that we as a city can provide more support for the business community and the future entrepreneurs. As I said, I have a long history and experience working in local government, and I've been a professional advocate. And that's why I'm throwing my hat in for the City Council of Ward 2 seat. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us today. Next, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to LaVonna Longwell. And LaVonna, I'll just mention, I think your mute might be on still too. Perfect. There you go.
Pesky reminders, right? Well, first of all, I want to thank the Chamber for the opportunity to speak with all of you today, and to thank you for the work that you do to have businesses thrive and therefore allowing our community to thrive. You know, Greeley has some big challenges ahead of us, and climate change is happening at an increasing rate of speed, and it's probably going to cause our city growth to expand faster than we anticipated. The information age is charging at us, at our businesses and at our communities and at our families, challenging all of us as never before. We will need leadership, visionary thinking, and hard work to keep our city, our businesses, and our families thriving. We will need, in the Chamber's words, a spirit unimagined. And in somebody else's words, we must boldly go where we've never gone before. My experience in solving problems has shown me that diversity of ideas and viewpoints are absolutely essential in creating innovative solutions. We must engage in respectful conversations and respectful listening. We must do our research, practice risk management, and perhaps most importantly, find common ground. That is what builds a spirit unimagined. I want to continue creating a sustainable and affordable community, developing a dynamic and resilient economy, and making a healthy environment, partially by expanding our transportation options within the city and the region. I believe I have some bold and innovative ideas, and I'm ready to work. But no person or no one viewpoint has the answer. If elected, I am committed to listening to all views, finding common ground, and together finding innovative solutions and taking bold actions with a little bit of risk management, but taking those bold actions for the good of all in our community. I look forward to working with the Chamber and your members to build our unimagined spirit and to do what's never been done before. Thank you.
Thank you, Lavana, for your comments today. Next, I'm going to turn it over to our current city councilor, Brett Payton.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Lou. Thank you to the Chamber and to Leg Back. I am Brett Payton. Currently city council member in Ward 2. I've decided this year that I want to run at large. I want to cover the entire city, both where I live and where I run my business, is my goal in this campaign and for the next 4 years. Been married 28 years to Allison. We've got 4 kids. We've put them through UNC and Ames as well. And the last one will be making her decisions as to where she wants to go. I am an alum of CSU. Graduated CSU in the 90s, went to law school, and I'm now a practicing attorney here in Greeley. For me, Greeley, again, is both where I live and where I run my business. It's been a pleasure to serve Greeley in numerous capacities since we did move here, from coaching Parks and Recs teams to serving on the Planning Commission, serving on the board of the Global Refugee Center, serving as the chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, currently serving on the foundation board for the Chamber, the Chamber Foundation Board, and then running this highly successful firm here in the city. It's my goal to be an employer of choice, both in my firm, but also to make the city of Greeley an employer of choice. That was a decision that this city council made 3-4 years back in how we view ourselves as an employer, as one of the fastest growing cities in the nation, by the way. Part of that job for me has been to serve on city council in taking on that role of transportation. I serve on our regional metropolitan planning organization, which is the transportation regional body, if you will. Had the opportunity to advocate and push our big transportation issues in this city up into some of the top 5 regional issues, mainly being the intersections at 35th and 47th on Highway 34. We are in process, by the way, on getting that intersection on 35th through the design phase, so we can make get that installed soon, hopefully. Obviously, public safety and development are huge issues for this city. We continue to advocate on behalf of our police and fire. They need to have a fantastic place to work if they're going to serve our residents as well. And then the issue of housing. Look, when you are the fastest growing city in the state, when you're one of the fastest growing cities in the nation, inventory will begin to suffer as against the ability to develop. It is city council's job to make sure that government is not in the way of that development, but at the same time is driving those standards for safe development, for meaningful and thoughtful growth in the various areas of the city. It's interesting to me that 50% of our residents commute out for work and 50% of our employees in the city commute in from elsewhere. People make individual choices. We hear a lot about this morning about listen to everybody's voice, and we have to respect the choices that everybody makes. But to the extent that we can make Greeley a place to choose to live and to work, that is a goal that City Council is working on. Lastly, with regards to the pandemic, you heard John mention driving the Greeley Area Recovery Fund. During the pandemic, I served on that recovery fund. And Jamie, you know, I mean, that work doubled and tripled throughout. And I cannot express how honored I was to be able to sit down and do everything that I could to help our businesses, to find ways and mobilize that money to salvage businesses that were struggling. I think we did great work there. Hopefully we will not have to reconstitute that group, but in the event that we do, I'm ready, I'm on it. I'm here to support this business community and see Greeley thrive. Thank you.
Brett, thank you so much for your comments today. And I do not believe Sean is with us, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Paul. Thank you for joining us today. This is your chance to make comments, and I'll just mention, yep, you've got your mute off. Perfect. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you so much for this opportunity. This is a great opportunity for me. I, like Mayor Gates, was born in Greeley. I'm going to age myself a little bit. In 1950, I left for a few years to go to school. Always wanted to come back to Greeley because I've always loved this city. Some of the prettiest streets that we have are up around the NCMC, the hospital, with all the beautiful trees, and we've always been kind of known as a tree area. You know, Greeley's the tree city. When I came back to Colorado in 1970, I married my lovely wife. Today is actually our 50th wedding anniversary. I raised both of my sons here. My parents lived here. I spent the past 42 years of my life working for the city of Greeley, for the citizens of Greeley, in the water department. I have a Colorado water treatment license and water distribution license. When I came back here, before I came to work at the city in '78, I worked on the farm for a little while. I worked on pipeline for a while. I was a mechanic and assistant service manager at the old Weld County Garage when it was downtown. And I've just always loved this city. And I think that maybe after leaving the city of Greeley last year, and being away for a little while, I'm going, maybe I just can't get enough. I just really feel compelled to work for Greeley and continue to serve the citizens of Greeley any way that I can. One of the things that we talked about, and Payton brought it up, is that, you know, our infrastructure is really critical right now. If you take a look at our future and this growth that we've got going on, we have around 118,000 people in Greeley right now, and I think that's equates to around 29,000 vehicles. If we go to 260,000 people by 2050, that's going to be close to 60,000 vehicles in Greeley. You know, Payton's exactly right. You drive down 34 in the morning and in the evening, it's crazy. We're just plugged up. So we've got to really look into that. I feel that that's important for businesses because, you know, people need to be able to get to where they want to go and do their shopping and do the things that they want to do. So anyway, I think we need to really look into our infrastructure. Other than that, I'm just really honored to even have the opportunity to be with all of you folks. And I plan to work with the chamber as much as possible if I'm elected and learn all the new things. I learned and taught water for 42 years. Now it's time for me to spread out and learn some new things. And I'm really open to suggestions and ideas and whatever I can do to serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, I believe all of our candidates have had a moment to give their comments in their own words. I'm going to ask for this final piece. I'm going to ask some hard questions with really concise 1-minute answers, but that we're able to work through those quickly because I want to make sure we have a chance for every candidate to answer every question. So I'm actually going to start with you, Paul, on this first question since we worked backwards. And the first question is, why did you decide to run? And how has your background and experience prepared you to oversee the complexities of the city of Greeley?
Well, first of all, it's kind of interesting. With my name, I was always last. However, in school, from time to time, they'd surprise me and go the other direction. So I appreciate that. I decided to run because, as I said, I'm compelled to continue to serve the citizens of Greeley. I think we are on a tremendous growth pattern, and I think we need to be very conscious of how we allow that growth. I feel like I can give my opinions and talk to a lot of people. I plan on visiting with all of the businesses that I can possibly do in the next month or so. I want to see what their views are, what their fears are, what their likes and dislikes are. I've got the energy and I'm open to go do whatever I need to do to get the job done.
Great, thank you. Next, I'm going to go to Brett. Why did you decide to run, and how's your background and experience prepared you to oversee the complexities of the city?
Thank you. Yeah, for me, it is all about service. When we moved into the city, I had to find a way to be a part of the city, to serve the city, again, that I live in and that I build my business in. It's about basically the city business, making decisions that drive the city forward, that do foster innovation. You know, it's certainly not about politics. It's a nonpartisan board. And it's certainly not about making friends, which you get to find out as a city council member and as a mayor. You know, experience-wise, being a business owner, you know that if you stagnate, you go out of business. So we are constantly, as a business owner, I'm constantly looking for what's the future bringing. We don't know. We can't prognosticate about those things, but we do need to position ourselves as a city, as a business owner, for what's coming in the future. We do need to look into the future. We need to see the growth. We need to understand how we address that growth. We need to understand how we make tools and things available to the future developers, to the future residents of Greeley. So that's how my experience and my current ongoing experience prepares me to continue to serve the city.
Thank you, Brett. LaVonda, we're going to ask you the same question next. Why did you decide to run, and how's your experience prepared you?
Okay, thank you. I'm running for office again because I believe in cultivating a balanced government that reflects Greeley's many diverse voices. Those voices deserve a seat at our collective table. That to me is democracy, not one party or another party. It's really all the voices should be represented and should have a vote. My background and experience in this regard is I've worked on many committees since I grew up in Greeley from 8th grade through college, graduated from UNC 50 years ago. Oh my God. And then I moved away and I came back when I retired 8 years ago. And in those 8 years, I have been volunteering on committees for the city, on planning committees, on the Transportation Citizens Advisory Board, on focus groups, on the broadband task force. I was a member of the 5-year plan for Greeley Evans Transit, and the great result we got from that 5-year plan was the very first regional bus from Greeley to Fort Collins, and I'm so proud of Greeley for that accomplishment. I currently am chair of the Citizens Transportation Advisory Board, and I serve on the Greeley on the Go Stakeholder Committee, which is working on the 25-year transportation plan for Greeley. I am dedicated to doing the work. I am dedicated to hear all sides of a solution. And I've worked in projects particularly in transportation, like I said, that have never been done before. I worked on the T-Rex project, which was a design build multimodal project in Denver, and it had never been done before in Colorado or in the nation. So we had to create new policies, new contracting, new programs for this huge project. And I learned a lot about teamwork at that time. I learned a lot about how to create new programs, how to read federal regulations and interpret them. And
Lavana, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I will need to move on to my next candidate. And I'll try so that I don't interrupt you all. I'll just raise my hand if you've reached your minute, okay? So, all right, thank you. Next, we'll move over to Deb, and then we'll move to Louisa finally with this first question. So why did you decide to run, and how has your background and experience prepared you to oversee the complexities of the city? And again, I'll just raise my hand when you reach a minute. So Deb, we'll go to you first.
Thank you. I decided to run because I care deeply about what's happening in our community. That we are changing very rapidly. Myself and my neighbors and my friends in the community are concerned about the explosive growth out west. We want to see smart growth. We want to see relief in the traffic. And we want to preserve some of these beautiful green spaces that we have. We want to see attention and equitable investment in Ward 2 in Southeast Greeley and in our urban core, which is downtown, the area around the university, the area around MCMC, and reinvestment around the Greeley Mall. We're concerned about the infrastructure and the growth, and the intention out west is taking away the aging infrastructure in Southeast Greeley. And that is the concern and the reason I want to run. And I have 13 years experience in local government. I know how our local government works. I know where to go if I have questions, and I know how to affect change. So that's the reason why. Thank you.
Sorry, thank you. Wonderful. And then we'll move on to Louisa. Again, 1 minute response to why did you decide to run and how has your background and experience prepared you to oversee the complexities of the city? And again, so sorry, keeping you to 1 minute. It's pretty tough to answer these really bold questions, but thank you, candidates, for your patience around that. So, Louisa.
Yes, I'm Louisa Anderson, and I'm decided to run to step up for Ward 2. Our family business, Anderson Sales and Salvage, is in the business of recycling, and that business has been in Greeley for 60 years. We're on our third generation. I have lived in East Greeley for my life, and the last 5 years on Planning Commission and through my interaction with a family business in the city shows me that the thing that is can frequently be an impediment to business and entrepreneurship is the interaction with the city, and I'd like to be accessible to the business owners of East Greeley so that they know who they can talk to, so we can affect change for them and encourage growth and entrepreneurship. I'd like to the development lens back towards Southeast Greeley to work especially on the blight, the homelessness, and to work on affordable housing and transportation in our neck of the woods. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to read this question once. If you need me to repeat it, let me know, but I won't read it each time. And I'm going to start top down. So Louisa, I'm going to come back to you with this question. How do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses can grow and thrive?
Thank you. Encouraging thriving business involves streamlining activity with the city and making a clear and stable plans and codes that businesses can look forward to not changing frequently and to a thorough understanding. I'd like to represent the businesses, especially in Southeast Greeley, to give them a voice on the council, to know that as a businesswoman myself in a family business that's established in Greeley, I'd like to not only encourage the growth of business, but to continue to support the existing businesses that are here through predictable infrastructure and planning, and a commitment to supporting the businesses that are already here, especially when it regards the infrastructure and the support in that regard, especially with streamlining those regulations and helping businesses do what they do and getting out of the way as often as government can. Thank you.
Thank you. Deb, we're going to hand that question to you next. So in a nutshell, how do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses grow and thrive?
I think the single most important thing local government can do for business is to make sure we have a strong and viable improving infrastructure. We need good streets and sidewalks. We need good internet connections throughout the city. We need the property conditions to be improved and have people want to live and work and play in our areas. I think the city has capacity to support entrepreneurship if we provide good infrastructure and enforcement of our current code compliance and really incentivize and provide supports for the entire community, especially in Southeast Greeley, to keep up with their properties and stabilize our property values. And I agree with Louisa. I don't think that we want to impede any entrepreneurship and stand in the way of what our local business community can do. But what we can do is provide the infrastructure and the basic standards of care that we can all live with and thrive.
Thanks, Deb. We'll move on with the same question back to you, Lavana. So how do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses grow and thrive?
Well, first and foremost, we have to get this pandemic over and do whatever we can to get everybody in the city vaccinated. Also, I believe infrastructure-wise, we need the broadband access to high-speed internet and affordable options in our city with local customer service. I know we can have this in Greeley, and I would like that to happen. Businesses need it, our residents need it. The pandemic proved that. I'm also interested in having an economic development committee, like we have all the other citizen committees. I think that would be, we'd get some good, fresh ideas from a variety of people. I'd like to look at having a partnership with the Small Business Development Center, and perhaps in one of those empty buildings at the Greeley Mall, we could have a business resource center, or perhaps there's a kitchen that's a legal certified kitchen that some people that can't afford that in their homes, but would like to have a business in baking or cooking, could do that. And small businesses just getting started would have resources there.
Thank you so much, Lavana. I appreciate your thoughtful answer. Next, I'm going to go to Brett, and then finally to Paul, and then we have one more question to ask you all today. And the question again was, how do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses grow and thrive? Over to you, Brett.
Yeah, thank you. So again, what the main goal of the city needs to be attractive to businesses, and the city's been doing that through its own economic development department within the city, but then also working with SBDC, working with the other economic development agencies that are actually out there. There are quite a few, supporting those both with time and with finances. The other part that the city does do is create investment and incentive for businesses to come to Greeley and to specifically target some of those areas that are in high need areas. If you're driving around town right now, you'll see the Allo construction signs. Allo is a new to the region high-speed internet provider. We provided incentives to them to pull high-speed internet in the areas that are struggling the most, and then provide high-speed internet throughout the city so that we have choices of those providers. We've also seen huge investment in our infrastructure. By the way, KGM, everybody, vote yes on KGM. Let's keep Greeley moving. We're going to keep hammering away at improving our PQI, or pavement quality index, but you're seeing a huge investment in our water and sewer systems so that we can serve this future growth. I guess I'm done. So
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. And finally, Paul, same question to you. How do you plan to ensure a business-friendly environment where businesses grow and thrive?
Well, again, I have to go back to, we need wise planned growth, future growth. We need to be able to allow these businesses to come in here and actually be found. There's one instance where a gentleman was telling me that his business is blocked by a bus stop where there's an open space right next to it where he could park his vehicle. We could look into those things. We need to get out and visit with our customers, our people, our families, and find out what their needs are. I also agree with making sure that we have affordable rent, affordable fees, affordable rates for these businesses to be able to flourish. I really do stand for small business. I think we also need to look into larger businesses, bring bigger businesses into Greeley. As Brett said, I believe it was Brett said that, we've got so many people living in Greeley working elsewhere, and so many people living outside of Greeley working in Greeley. Let's see what we can do about pulling all those folks together and get more big businesses and small businesses in Greeley. My objective would be to work with all of you to see what we can do to achieve that.
Okay, thank you so much for your answer. We're going to start back with you, Paul, for this final question. And I'm going to attribute these questions, these thoughtful questions, to our leg back committee. So Lou, thank you for helping to craft these. This final question is a really hefty question to answer in a minute, but we're going to do our best. So Greeley was built on smart and innovative practices and continues to be forward thinking in sectors ranging from energy to agriculture, arts, and culture. What would you do to drive further innovation? And Paul, we're going to go ahead and start with you. And again, when you've reached a minute, I'll just hold my hand up.
Okay. I was very fortunate throughout my career with the city of Greeley to have had some of the best mentors in the world. Ex-city manager Pete Morrell, we just lost a couple of years ago. Some of those folks really encouraged me to do the things that I've been able to do. As far as innovation is concerned, my leaders, past leaders, gave me the opportunity to think out of the box and to invent. I actually invented and patented a valve that is serving 3 of our treated water storage reservoirs yet today. Only had to repair 1 at one time. So a lot of people don't have that opportunity to find the time to invent and to think out of the box and to try to learn new things. I think that ties in with me with one of the most important things that we need to do in Greeley is make sure that we do provide services to everybody through the city water department, the street department, traffic, all of the different divisions within the city. We need to find the best leaders in those departments, the best employees, and find a way to keep them. Right now, there's more people getting paid to stay home than there are working. The city of Greeley has had a mass exodus of people leaving the city for various reasons. I'd like to see us encourage them to come back. Okay, I saw your hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next we'll go to Brett with the same question. Greeley was built on smart and innovative practices. What will you do to further innovation?
But we all know that the only constant in life is change, right? And as a city council, we have to pay attention to that change. We have to pay attention to, again, what's coming and see where our businesses need to be, where do they need to go. We need to listen to our businesses and understand what their cost of compliance is, as an example, understand where they fit into the city. But at the same time, that's not just rolling over, but understanding where the city can accommodate. So we just need to continue our relationships with UNC and Ames on the arts and culture side, continue our relationships with our local farmers, especially on that water piece, especially on how we share that rare resource in the city with our farmers, with those who are creating our food sources. It's constantly being able to accept that there is change and address that change and roll with it.
Thank you, Brett. Appreciate your response. Next, we'll move to Lavana. Same question. Greeley was built on smart and innovative practices and continues to be forward-thinking. How will you drive further innovation?
Well, I'm very interested in increasing public transit. I worked both for the Highway Department in Colorado and the Regional Transportation District in Denver, and I know the value of both types of transit. But we need to expand our public transit. We cannot have clean air with that many more new cars coming into our area. We've got to find some solutions. I'd like to see a bus rapid transit lane to the new park and ride on I-25 that will get people on the upcoming Front Range rail system and also get people on the existing Mustang quickly and easily, so they don't think they have to be in their cars to get there. I'd like to be innovative in developing new manufacturing. Greeley is a perfect place to have a hemp manufacturer where they manufacture hemp projects. One, we have the land to grow the hemp, so it would be a very inexpensive way to get the product to the factory. Two, there is not a hemp factory in the entire United States, so we'd be very innovative.
Thank you so much for your comments, Lavana. Next, I'll turn it over to Deb.
Thanks. I think that we need to capitalize on the partnerships that already exist in the community to support our entrepreneurs and our future entrepreneurs. The partnership with the city and the chamber and our local school districts, UNC and Ames, the ACE program, I think needs to be highlighted, recognized, strengthened. I think the university district efforts to improve the livability and the work experience and the play experience in the neighborhoods surrounding the university and the university, those partnerships need to be strengthened and highlighted. I think the city needs to be creative and innovative on how we support entrepreneurs. There are job creators. And when jobs are created in the community, then the money comes back and gets invested in our community as far as sales tax. And that's the core of funding for city services. And so it's a cycle of investment and support that currently exists. It just needs to continue and be strengthened, and we'll all be stronger for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. And our final question goes to Louisa, and then we're going to wrap up our forum today. So Louisa, looking at the questions, Greeley was built on smart and innovative practices. How will you further that?
Yes, thank you. Smart, innovative practices are generally occurring at most of the businesses in Greeley because that's how they thrive. Innovation comes from a sense of strong competition and the need to improve your business on a day-to-day basis. With that in mind, our family business and our family were called on to help create the comprehensive plan some time ago, and that was gives clarity to businesses where their growth is encouraged along the corridors and along the entryways where we happen to have our family businesses. And knowing that the city has an idea of where the growth should go and what they're expecting really helps with the innovation because it knows where businesses are going to congregate to help support each other and to provide competition amongst each other. I'd like the city to continue its involvement with the creative district, which includes not just downtown and the 8th Avenue corridor, but also 16th Street creative district. And improving the parking and things along there. And that looks like that's moving along. And I would like to complete that zoning aspect in the code and to be a voice of business on the council. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. I really want to take a moment to thank all of our candidates on here today. And Lou, also thank you to you and our local government affairs leadership in helping to craft these questions. I want to thank the candidates who are on here today. We appreciated learning about the vision and plans for the office which you seek. We appreciate your willingness to serve the community we all revere and the work you hope to do on its behalf. The Chamber would welcome the opportunity to work with any of you, and hopefully we'll be able to. If you're one of our investors and you're watching this, we want to mention to you, we are going to push this out to all of our investors, and we hope today helps to educate you on the candidates, to put a face with a name, to hear a little bit about their plans. And we also want to let our candidates know we are going to be sending out a candidate questionnaire. So as a chance to further these conversations, we'll be sending out 7 questions. 2 or 3 of them may be ones you were asked today, so they'll give you a chance to elaborate. Those are going to come out to you, and our goal is to try to turn those back around to us quickly before ballots drop on the 7th. So we want to thank you again for being here. Our job is to educate our investors, and we want to remind everyone who's on the call that you should please vote and use your voice. That's really important. And also remember, the political process does not end on election day. We need to stay involved in the process and connected to make our city better with all of these candidates. So thank you so much.